Welcome to Choir Talks. My name is Greg O'Neill. I'm the worship pastor at Ridgecrest Baptist Church, and Choir Talks is my weekly podcast. Then Jesus declared, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty." That's a quote from John chapter 6. Last week, if you caught the episode, we talked about when Jesus walked on water and when Peter walked out on water to meet him. John chapter 6 gives us the sequence of events that led up to that and then led up to this quote that I just quoted for you today. It starts with the feeding of the 5,000. And then at the end of that miracle, Jesus puts the disciples on a boat, and you have that miracle of him coming out and walking on the water. Here's the story of what happened the day after he walks on water. The crowd catches up to him on the other side of the lake. This is the same crowd that he fed with loaves and fish the day before, and they catch up to him. He tells them this, "Truly I tell you, you are looking for me not because you saw the signs I performed, but because you ate the loaves and had your fill. Don't work for food that spoils, but for food that endures for eternal life, which the Son of Man will give you." So here's the deal. Jesus identifies the intention of this crowd. He's a popular person at this point, but they are following him for food, not because they believe that he's the Messiah or that they are interested in the spiritual things that he has to say. They are following him for food. And you can see that played out here. They ask him, what do we need to do the works of God? And he says something really profound to them. He says the work of God is this, to believe in the one he has sent. That's really profound because they are looking for a how to get to heaven list of things from him. They're looking for the key to have this eternal life. And in their minds, it's what must we do? There must be a set of things, hoops that we have to jump through to get eternal life. And he says, here's the thing that you have to do. And it's not a do at all. He says, believe. You have to believe in the one who is sent. God has sent. This is right in line with what John's whole agenda in writing this book is. John says that I'm writing this so that you may believe that Jesus is the Son of God, and by believing that you would have eternal life in him. So here's eternal life. It comes through faith. It comes by believing, not by doing. Well, anyway, so they ask him, okay, what sign will you give us so that we can believe? What will you do? And then almost comically, they offer this as a possible sign. They say, our ancestors ate manna in the wilderness, for it is written, he gave them bread from heaven. I mean, it's almost comical here. They're coming to him because he fed them yesterday, and they're looking for food again today. He says, you need to believe. And they say, okay, we'll believe if you give us, how about the bread? Because Moses gave bread, and so we'll believe if you do that. Their true intentions are so obvious here. So anyway, Jesus says this, "Truly I tell you, it is not Moses who has given you bread from heaven, but it is my Father who gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is the bread that comes down from heaven and gives life to the world." So just like most of the people who talk with Jesus, they don't necessarily understand the metaphor and the analogy that he's trying to make. They are thinking literally, and so they say, "Sir, always give us this bread." And then here he comes, this great quote. He says, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty." This is one of 7 I am statements in the book of John. John chooses 7 times when he remembers Jesus giving himself a title. And each one starts with I am, and then Jesus gives a descriptor about himself, and they're so beautiful and so helpful to understand who Jesus is and what his mission here is. And in this case, he says, I am the bread of life. Here's something really important. They came looking for bread. They came looking for sustenance really just for the day. How short-sighted they were as they came along to find the Son of God in flesh, and they were only looking for enough food to fill their bellies for a few hours. How short-sighted. And so he says to them, I'll give you food that will last for a lifetime. I will give you sustenance. I will give you this spiritual food. I am the bread of life. You see, Jesus didn't come to give us bread. He came to be bread. He came to give his life so that we would have a relationship with the Father, so that we would have eternal life. And so he says, whoever comes to me will never go hungry. Of course, the people who came to him went physically hungry, but he's talking about something so much deeper than that. He's saying, I will give you a relationship with the Father, and that relationship will fill you up. When Jesus says, he who comes to me will never go hungry, he was really saying the one who comes to me for fulfillment will find it in abundance. Jesus can satisfy our desires like nothing else in the world. In fact, when we come to him, our desires begin to change. They begin to change to be like his desires. And when we desire him more, temporary things like the sustenance for the day become so much less important, and the eternal things become our primary goal. When we begin to gain more fulfillment out of walking with him, and in walking with him, our desires change to be like him, to be hungry for his word and for his glory and for his kingdom. So I ask you and me today, are you spending your energy pursuing the fulfillment of something just for today, something that is temporary, and in so doing, are you bypassing the Son of God? Or are you and have you found the bread of life, and are you pursuing that every day so that your desires become his desires and you find his fulfillment? Hope you have a great day.